I'll send you the Zoom invite or the YouTube. See how that works? Oh, I got it.
Well, 16 inches is not a very big
I
baby.
don't remember as long, yeah. No, it's like a baby doll.
But it was 16.
Makes all the difference.
Run it this year.
was they were separate. But I believe we are here now to approve that it does mean the pavilion comes with the rental of the hall. If somebody wants to rent the pavilion separately and not use the hall, we're giving them use of the restrooms and the kitchen, and I will lock these two doors, and those doors also will be locked, so they cannot have entrance into this area. So, on our contract agreement, I think we need to strike, where it, oh geez, see these, this is a little bit of an older one. On the third page by the rules, these rates actually are on the first page now. And it says pavilion rentals are 60 with a $50 deposit. Pavilion with restrooms are 75 and 50 deposit. So I believe not having the restrooms available to me just shouts out, where's the nearest tree? So I think we strike that altogether. And do we want to make the rental of the pavilion alone now that we're adding the kitchen on, if you want to say we're adding it because it wasn't available before? Do we want to raise the price of the rental of the pavilion only? Or leave it 75 and 50 deposit?
So if they rent the pavilion, they'll have access to the kitchen.
Right,
But if you rent the hall, you automatically get the pavilion. So
yes.
if someone has a hall, the pavilion cannot be rented on top.
Right, and since I do take care of the rentals, I will not double book. Yeah,
That was my first question was,
yeah,
do you not rent them separate? And I think it's partially parking. Plus you can't have people that are outside. They've got something going on in here, come in and start using the restrooms
That's
and,
exactly what happened.
yeah.
We used to, several years ago, that was one party, this was a party, but the double doors were open. And to go back out to the pavilion, instead of going out and around,
people,
they came through here and several events had a buffet table set up over there. And when they came through, they
I'm sorry.
helped themselves to the food. It was chaos.
Was that movie?
So in the past, both the places
Wedding
were
Crashers.
rented. And if that wasn't rented, then the ones that rent this were welcome to use that.
okay,
And if that wasn't rented and somebody came and wanted to have picnic, they would do so as well.
they could,
Yes.
yes, yes.
So now they have to rent it, or can they still use that property?
Yes, that's that's my proposal tonight. Of what I was told was the way it's always been. And because I misconstrued my thought process of being, they're two separate. And you can certainly have the hall and you can certainly rent the pavilion the same day, but the added cost of the pavilion.
Mhm.
So I was perplexed, looked things up as best I could. And so I just want to make that clear, mostly to myself because I'm doing the rentals. And there are a few people that will be getting credits back that has paid for it, but we're going to go back to the way it always was, is the way it will be now. You rent the hall, the pavilion is yours as well.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Only if nobody else has rented it already.
Well, see, that's,
Make sure your mic's on.
I'll make sure it doesn't happen.
So we get it
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
audio.
yeah. And then locking those doors and locking those doors so they can't get into this area. Now, when I was here last weekend and somebody just did the pavilion, I was down here and they asked for a couple more tables. So we did, offer them the tables. So, yeah.
So if
Yeah,
it's rented separately, the pavilion, they can have kitchen and bathroom privileges.
Right.
So this simplifies things, obviously.
Yeah.
My it's not really concern, but the one thing is, if someone rents a pavilion, that slates off that day, so then the hall cannot be rented.
Right.
You have pavilion rentals, the hall brings in more revenue.
That's why I wondered if we wanted to raise the price slightly.
It's
No.
always been that way.
We're just memorializing what was the common practice before.
Yeah.
So Cindy, are you
thinking just raise it always to 75 as a flat rate with, and it always comes with the restroom / kitchen because the kitchen just comes with the restroom.
I would just put pavilion, strike restrooms, and if we wanted to leave it 75 with a 50 deposit, or do we want to raise it to 100 with a 50 deposit?
I think 75 is fair for now. If we need to raise it, we can raise it. Don't
Yeah.
change too much at once. People might get crazy.
That's
They're
true.
gonna get crazy either way, but
Yeah, okay, so we'll leave it, but we're gonna strike totally without bathrooms and with restrooms. And then I will, when I speak to the people, I will tell them they have access to the restrooms and the kitchen now.
yeah, do you have a feel for how many times people get just the pavilion?
I've got 3,
3?
one being last weekend. Yeah, so it's not a lot.
The uptake's likely in the summer, right?
And the other thing I like to do is I've run into so many people that question the chief to death.
Word of it. It's one message, 2 ways to find your way through it. I think.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
About where do I park? How come I can't park here? Where does it say? What does it do? How come I can't? So what I would like to do is have all the paperwork, everything that's involved in the contract, parking, how to put this room back together at the end, you know, everything that's in here, they will have to pick up personally at my Village Hall mailbox, which is just up the side of my driveway. Because then I've given them the packet. Because nobody reads it on, you know, they see the contract on the website and that's all they look at. You know, they've parked in the police driveway, they park on the lawn, they park in, you know, people have taken up the cones out of the fire lane. So, I didn't know, you know, and the thing, nobody told me, well, we can't tell you if you don't ask. We don't know what you don't know. So this way, you know, I'll tell the people, you know, I've penciled in your day. You know, as soon when I need to get your deposit by, and then that becomes your day and the packet will be in my mailbox to pick up.
I like that idea.
Yeah,
Would you be able to put those 2 papers that explain all that and show the layout and everything as part of like piggyback on the contract as well, have an initial those pages?
oh,
Lovely.
So then it's like you saw it, you signed it.
yeah,
Thank
but I don't want them back. They should keep them. And it does say on here, though, on the contract, that renter must acknowledge they have read, understand, and agree to the terms of this rental contract in its entirety. Hall Pavilion rental agreement, Hall Pavilion rental instructions, rules, parking, setup, and after event, 1064.01, rental of the Village Hall, and 1064.02, rental of the pavilion. So in them, in their signing, they're supposed to be agreeing that they have read all that in the packet. And also, on the side, it says renter must read and acknowledge. Renter is a Timberlake resident and will be present and responsible for the event. So, people just don't read.
Yeah,
And that's when they get into trouble.
I like your idea of giving them it so they can.
Yeah, because then I mean, if they take it home and use it under their bird cage, what am I gonna do? I can't, you know. So at least I know they have it. If they sit down and read it or not, and, you know,
Well,
it benefits them to do it.
but if we make that our common practice,
Mhm.
when it comes to enforcement, and they say we didn't know, you can say you had it.
Right.
The fact that you chose not to review it is on you.
Mhm.
So,
In the parking diagram, can I ask for one change? This one little island that shows 2 vehicles. There is a shrub that used to be rather small, and that shrub now takes up the whole island. And we did have a party a couple weeks ago where somebody parked in a big SUV. And you can't, when they're parked along there, you can't see to make the U-turn if there's oncoming traffic. Can that one little bitty island where it's 2 cars show to be parked, can we cross that off?
It's a safety issue.
Yes, and she was rather indignant that I made her to move.
Okay.
So
Yeah, because there's no visibility around it.
none, there was
Can't see
none,
around it.
there was none. I mean, had she been in a small car, it would not have been a problem.
Okay, anything else on that? 'Cause we want to get on our tax budget.
No, I think that just knowing myself that that's the way it is, it's not separate.
So
If
no
you rent
longer
the
are we
hall,
telling residents go on and print it offline.
No.
They're going to see you. That's the bottom line.
that's it. They have to pick it up in my village hall.
And I like what Kevin
Mailbox.
said. If they return it, they should have to initial each page so that they can't say, oh, I didn't see that. It wasn't attached, you know.
I understand what you're saying, like they're already acknowledging everything, but I've seen contracts and it's so much redundancy.
Yep.
And it's just to cover our butts and it's just like, hey, you not only signed signed off on everything, but you even initial specifically that addendum and like, yeah, it's up to you, but
I agree.
I like all your plans.
Cindy, you're gonna,
I know what I could do.
We're
I
gonna
could put,
consolidate these
I could
two,
put a
right?
checklist.
Yeah.
Have read and acknowledged.
Yes.
Okay, yep, okay, I can do that.
Okay,
If you look at it, Ryan, one is Paul and one is Paul/PD.
You're going to open a public meeting. Right, that's what we're doing for the tax budget.
well,
Are we done with the hall committee?
Huh?
And you can do
Okay.
5 minutes.
So now we're going to have our tax budget hearing. Does anyone have any questions on the tax budget? So just to summarize, we are requesting $255,000 in property tax revenue from Lake County. So that includes our inside and outside millage. So that includes all levies that we have on currently. And for the general fund for 2023, our estimated revenue for 2023 is $550,000. Approximately in our general fund expenditures are estimated to be $575,000 in 2023. That includes transfers out for debt payments of approximately $60,000. And currently, the village has 3 debts. There's the general fund street improvement bonds. That was issued in 2017. At the beginning of 2023, the outstanding debt will be approximately $145,000, and $41,333 will be paid in principal and interest next year on that. Sanitary sewer OWDA was issued in 2014. That at the beginning of 2023, the outstanding debt will be $101,164, and approximately $14,174 is required for principal and interest. A lot of that is paid for by fees we received that go towards that debt payment, but it's not entirely paid for by that. And then there's a smaller loan. This is also related to our street improvement project in 2015 and 16. This is from Ohio Public Works Commission. It was issued at the beginning of July 2016. And at the beginning of next year, we'll have about $39,635 left to pay. And we will make payments of $2,831 towards that. That is all I have on that.
I don't have anything. Anyone have any questions on?
I got a quick question. Now, this that we're asking for, so we're just asking for a portion of taxes already collected for this year. That's where that two.
That the 2023, that will be from the real estate taxes collected for 2022. So we will receive those in 23.
So that's all of 2022s or just? you get some of
Correct.
it over the
There's
year?
2 payments. There's one in usually March and then one in August. So that includes both payments.
Gotcha. And that's just real estate property.
That's
taxes,
just
not
property tax.
income
That
taxes.
does not include income taxes.
And the jump from 474 to 600,000 from 2021 to 22, it's because we were running lean, thinking we were gonna have a deficit. and have more money.
Probably, yes.
Okay. You see the ending cash balance of 240 from last year, so some carryover.
Anyone else? Okay. A motion to adjourn the tax meeting, please. Next budget meeting. Thompson makes a motion.
Second that.
Skylar seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right. It is 6:30. Please all stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the prayer, please. Grant us, O Lord, light in our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority, and may we use it to our directives for the common good, for thy honor and glory. Amen. Thank you. Okay, call to order. Roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma? Mrs. Hardwick?
Here.
Mrs. Mara? Mr. Thompson?
Present.
Mr. Conrad?
All right.
Thank you. Any public comment in welfare, so please come up, turn on the microphone, please state your name and address.
Hello, I'm Jane Chaveco from 14 East Shore. This is regarding the island at parcel A. When I was out getting signatures, a lot of people would like to put a tree back there. So I understand if we're going to donate, you have to do a 3 reading rule. We are looking to put at least a good hardwood that comes with at least a 2-inch caliper to start with. And we would plant in the fall, stake it, maintain it, and that. And I'm asking council if they could put it on the 3 reading rule. Okay. And I'll have the varieties by next month. I'm going to have a company, Biodiversity, the ones that put the 2 trees in my yard. He's going to give good suggestions for that location. So the width and the height wouldn't be wrong for that.
Do we have, I mean, do you know where she wants to put that? Because I would like to see, is there a drawing that you can provide to show us exactly where you're talking about?
In the center of the parcel A, green space,
We're gonna put parking.
where you were going to put parking, and now it's going to stay green space, and that would,
A little grass circle right there.
I got that. I don't know. Does the tree committee want to?
I'm
Take
on the
that on.
tree committee, but I haven't been updated. But I would love to have the tree committee back updated also. Okay, thank you for your time.
But you'll provide a sketch though, where location and size and. variety and
Yeah,
all that.
and it will be the variety, and we'll present that for in final.
Okay, thank you.
But you need 3 readings.
Thank you. Jane knows about this.
Okay,
Just-
anyone else?
Just so that you know, when we're talking about a donation, We typically don't do 3 readings. I have insisted in the communities that I represent, whenever a donation's made, that there be legislation to acknowledge the donation. Doesn't require a 3 reading rule. All it is an acknowledgement of the donation. Some communities accept donations and they don't memorialize it. I just think it's good to get it in the minutes and to have a resolution that says that so-and-so, the garden club. Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Anyone else?
They're suggesting. That's why I think the tree committee needs to.
Okay. Moving on, we're going to move on to proclamation of honoring Ron Mona. And we'd like to have, first of all, a moment of silence. So I'll have a moment of silence for Ron. Okay, this is a proclamation of appreciation and commendation of Ron Mona. Whereas council has been advised of the unfortunate passing of Timberlake village resident Ronald Mona. And whereas Ron Mona was husband of Jane, father of Amy and Caleb, grandfather of Marisa, Madison, and Mackenzie, well loved by many nieces, nephews, and their children, Timberlake neighbors, and friends. And whereas Ron truly loved Timberlake, Ron Mona served as councilman and a loyal volunteer to the needs of the village. Ron was instrumental in obtaining flags for the boulevard and relentlessly organized our yearly Family Day Parade. He served as president of the Men's Club and was elected as Man of the Year. He also continued on the tradition of the luminaries. In addition, he was known as the spearhead of the ethnic dinners back in 1990s that were remembered as being enjoyable by all. And whereas Ron came to Cleveland in 1960, worked 42 years at AB&B, formerly known as Bailey Controls. He and his family moved to Timberlake in 1977 and was extremely involved in Timberlake, as was sometimes referred to as Mr. Timberlake. And whereas Ron also was very involved at St. Justin Martyr Church, serving on parish council, Bible study, greeter, usher, and most proud of Catholics Come Home. Whereas council desires to honor Ron Mona for his contributions to betterment of our community. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed by the council and the administration of the Village of Timberlake, County of Lake, State of Ohio, as follows. Section 1, that Ronald R. Ron Mona is hereby posthumously commended for his unselfish devotion, service, and dedication to the residents of the Village of Timberlake, Lake County, Ohio. Section 2, that the council, administration, and residents of the Village of Timberlake, Ohio hereby express their condolences for his wife Jane, his children, Amy, Caleb, as well as his grandchildren, on the loss of their husband, father, and papa, and further thank them for having him with us. Thank you very much. God bless.
Who's all here with you today?
My grandchildren, my daughter and my grandchildren. Okay.
Stay there, stay there.
Come on, council. Cindy? Cindy? Dr. Sharp?
That picture. Wow, that goes.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
That's okay. You're allowed.
just say that you don't have to stay. It's boring.
Yes, thank you.
For the 5 years that we've been a resident, I just want to say personally, since I've known Ron, I mean, he was an inspiration to me because he was always the first one at any event to help set everything up and always the last one to leave when everything was perfectly cleaned up. I mean, he didn't leave until everything was in place. So, and he just gave me a lot of, like I said, incentive to want to just follow in his footsteps. So he's a great man. And like I said, he's going to be greatly missed. So our deepest condolences. Thank you. Want to offer a couple thank yous. Maureen Munir and also Greg Transky, they helped out at some of the islands or doing some of the flower beds and so forth. So we want to thank them for their volunteerism, helping to beautify the village. And there's a lot of property owners cleaning up the village. So I want to put a shout out. I mean, thank you all the villagers trying to help our village look nice. So pretty much, well, Family Days will be coming up. Be our 75th year. Very proud to be the mayor for our 75th year anniversary. Ron wanted to be great, and we're going to continue with that. We've got, I believe, almost all the donations for fireworks. And again, that was all spearheaded by Ron. So we want to make sure that, when they go off, that, like I said, be sure, like I said, in honor of him. So, and again, if there's anyone that can help out, any ideas to make it just the best event ever, it's not very often. Like I said, it's one time every 75 years we have a 75th. So, we want to make it big and celebrate it, fun for all. So, we have I guess that's about all I have for now. Okay, next thing is reading and disposition of minutes. So I have any questions or comments on the minutes last month? Okay, do I have a motion to approve them, please? Mr. Sharma makes a motion. Dr. Sharma makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I make a second.
And Tamara seconds. Roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma, Mrs. Hardwick,
Was
Minutes.
absent,
Okay,
so
you can abstain.
abstain.
Mrs. Mara.
Aye.
Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Okay, moving on to legislation. First one is ordinance 5-2022, third reading, an ordinance addressing the provisions of amended substitute HB 172 concerning the right of municipalities to retain the regulations and prohibitions on the discharge, ignition, and exploding of fireworks that existed prior to the enactment of amended substitute HB 172 and declaring an emergency.
Just a reminder, this is a very unusual statute. Normally, the state of Ohio does not allow you to opt out of changes in the law effective the end of this month. The House Bill 172 goes into effect, which allows widespread use of fireworks on specific dates. Many communities that I work with, not all, are taking the option to opt out and reinforcing their prior or current legislation. And that's what this ordinance does. It just simply says, we're opting out of that. We're going to, in essence, recommit to our current fireworks law ordinance for Timberlake.
Thank you. So do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Tamara makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Dr. Sharma seconds. Any other discussion on this?
Yeah, I think just a point of clarification is I see daily in the News Herald that every community around us, each like Willowick, Menor, are opting out of it.
They're opting out of
Opting
what the
out
state law
to
is.
keep their current ordinances. So
Yes.
we're in line with all the municipalities around.
Most
us.
of them. There are a few that are not taking action and allowing it to go into place.
Yeah, it just makes sense for us, right? All the trees, dog owners, at first I was like, oh, that's cool. We can set up fireworks now. Then you start to think about the logistics of it and you're like, okay, it makes sense why we have that ordinance to begin with.
One of the communities I was in, they had a firefighter come in and do a presentation. And they talked about some of the concerns that they had with private shooting off of fireworks and things that they see on an ongoing basis. And they anticipate with this change in the law that they'll see a more than a 100% increase in injuries from this, because people do not secure the things that they're shooting fireworks out of. And the first couple go off fine, and then the third one or fourth one, fifth one, it rolls over, and then it shoots into the crowd. You're supposed to keep people 150 feet away.
Not consume alcohol. and
Yeah.
Adult beverages going around
Yeah.
those parties.
So I just think it's wise on our part to do that, but that's up to council.
I tend to support this. I just hope there, there's 1 week a year where people like to,
Fourth
I
of
ju-
July.
Yeah, well, I just hope that, if a kid's setting off a couple firecrackers, we use discretion and not make everybody a criminal one night a year, but I agree
Shouldn't
with
put 'em in
everything.
jail.
Yeah, I agree with the
Not
sentiments.
arresting them for firecrackers.
Hey,
But now that you've made that comment, I'm sure that we can post a officer at your, never mind.
Anyway, I agree with everybody's sentiments. Safety concerns.
Any other comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
I,
Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
You. Okay, next is ordinance 6-2022, second reading, an ordinance authorizing the creation and of the rank of detective sergeant within the Timberlake Police Department and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 6-2022 is presented for second reading. Okay. This one is ordinance 7-2022. An ordinance amending 1064.01 rental of village hall of the codified ordinances of the village of Timberlake and declaring an emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please?
I make a motion.
Mrs. Hardwick makes a motion.
I'll second.
Nancy Mara seconds. Roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson, Mr. Conrad.
And do I have a motion approving ordinance 7-2022, please?
Make a motion.
I
Nancy
second
Mara
it.
makes a motion. Dr. Sharma seconds. Discussion.
Just as a reminder, this goes back to the committee meeting that we had before this, and the idea that we want to get these things, the emergency here, why we're suspending the rules has to do with the fact that we want to get these changes in the rules in place for people that are renting the hall and the pavilion, and that's why we're doing this on an emergency basis.
And this is just to clarify the language, the way it's always been, just there was some ambiguity about the language in there and about the rentals, what's included and what's not. So it just clarifies that no more. So
That's just the update of these renter agreements and the discussion we had.
Right.
In the,
correct. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Mr. Conrad.
aye.
Next ordinance number 8-2022. An ordinance amending 1064.02 rental of village hall pavilion of the codified ordinances of the village of Timberlake and declaring an emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules?
I make a motion.
Mrs. Hardwick makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Mrs. Mara seconds. Roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
I,
Mr. Conrad.
Thank you. Do I have a motion approving ordinance 8-2022, please?
I make a motion.
Nancy Mara makes a motion.
I second it.
Dr. Sharma seconds. Discussion. I believe this clarifies also.
Yeah, that's just the same thing as just for the pavilion.
For the pavilion.
Did we settle on the number we're gonna use?
We'll leave it the same.
You'll be safe.
For now.
All
We can
the-
always revisit it after we look at the budget for 2023.
Sure. Just want to make
Just
sure.
think about it. What year is
Okay,
it?
anything else? Okay, roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Thank you. Next is ordinance 9-2022. An ordinance amending section 13.1 of the Village of Timberlake Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual, and permitting all employees regardless of hours worked during the week to be eligible for holiday pay on those holidays listed in section 13.2 and declared emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please?
I make a motion.
Samara makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Hardwick seconds. Roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Thank you. Do I have a motion approving ordinance 9-2022, please?
I make a motion.
Tamara makes a motion. Second,
I second it.
Dr. Sharma seconds. Okay, discussion.
So this is, and why we're doing this on an emergency basis, this is a staffing issue. The current policy procedure manual indicates you have to be 20-hour-a-week employee to be able to get time and a half on a holiday. And we find it difficult enough to get officers to cover on an ongoing basis and weekends that we wanted to get this in place. And the ordinance that was passed around, we only really have 6 holidays that we're talking about. It's just January 1st, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. None of the other holidays are part of this, unless council decides at a later date to change that. So this is a staffing issue. We wanted to get this in place for the 4th of July, so we make sure we have enough folks.
Just for the hourly.
Right.
Does our service get paid for holidays that they don't work?
No, they're all part-time. Any other
But if they got
questions?
called in on a holiday, if we had one of those unfortunate circumstances where a tree and we had to call people in to help out and it was on a holiday, then we would have to pay them the time and a half. That's the ramification of this change.
I think that's very fair. People working holidays.
Okay, anything else? Okay, roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Next is resolution number 2022-26. Resolution approving the proposed tax budget in the form attached hereto for the Village of Timberlake, Ohio, for fiscal year 2023 and declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please?
Make a motion.
Mr. Conrad makes a motion. Mr. Thompson seconds. Roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
You. Do I have a motion approving resolution 2022-26, please?
I make a motion to approve that.
Sharma makes a motion.
Second.
Mr. Conrad seconds. Any discussion?
Mr. Roskis, this has to be submitted, does it not?
Correct.
That's the time frame why we're doing.
Right, it has to be submitted. It has to be passed by July 15th and received by July 20th. So the tax budget is simply requesting a certain amount of property tax from Lake County for the 2023 fiscal year.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Mr. Conrad.
Okay, thank you. Next is resolution number 2022-27. A resolution by the Village of Timberlake declaring it necessary to levy a renewal of 4.2 mil tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation and requesting the Lake County auditor to certify to the Village of Timberlake the current tax valuation of the Village of Timberlake and the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated by the renewal of a 4.2 mil tax. Please note, this is a replacement resolution correcting the two code references at the request of Lake County in the state of Ohio. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please?
I make a motion.
And Tamara makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Dr. Sharma seconds. Roll call.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Thank you. Do I have a motion approving resolution 2022-27, please?
I make a motion.
Tamara makes a motion.
I second it.
Dr. Sharma seconds. Discussion.
Yes, I just wanted to let you know that we did pass this previously, but when it got down to the Ohio Secretary of State, they found an error in the reference to the code section that we were utilizing in the actual motion. So they sent it back. I got a call from Mike De Leon from the Lake County Prosecutor's Office, letting me know that we have plenty of time, but we need to get it done because it has to be in by, I think, August 10th in order to make sure we're on the ballot in November. So it has to go through the steps of further review, but I've been assured that the change that was made has been approved by the Board of Elections so that we shouldn't have a problem. If there is, obviously, we'll address it, but that's why we're addressing this as rule suspended.
For that clarification. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Next is resolution 2022-28. Resolution authorizing the mayor to promote certain police officers of the police department and declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please?
I make a motion.
Tamara makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Dr. Sharma seconds. Roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson, Mr. Conrad.
Thank you. Do I have a motion approving resolution 2022-28, please?
Motion.
Mr. Thompson makes a motion.
I second it.
Dr. Sharma seconds. Discussion. Chief, this is for the promotion of Patrolman Vic Dolman to the rank of corporal. Any questions? So roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, next move on to reports. Mayor's report. I'm getting some inquiries about the gate here, the fence at the beach, going down to the beach, the steps. And a suggestion was made to basically increase the height of the fence on the two fence pieces going down alongside as soon as you walk through the gate up to the top of the stairs. Because right now, I guess kids are jumping over the 4-foot fence and then jumping across the 4-foot fence again. So this would mean if they jumped a 4-foot fence, they'd have to jump a 6-foot fence to get over that. But, we have a couple issues. One, it's going to create, if we do it that way, I had the fence guy out today, if we do it up to the top of the steps, they're still going to be able to try to get around it to go over the fence, which is going to go onto the steps, which is going to create a larger liability because then they can fall down and really hurt themselves. So that's going to open us up for liability there. Another suggestion was to put 6 foot across on the right side. And then we'd have to raise that up and then on the left side, put it on an angle. But then again, there's a cost involved. We're talking maybe $3,000 to $4,000 to do all that. So either way, we're talking, it's going to cost us some money. So that's one of these things where, and then again, is it going to really stop what we have going on in the problem? And again, is it going to create a larger liability? That's something we have to look at. But these are some suggestions that were brought up. And again, something that we're going to have to discuss and talk about. But I figure we're going to have we don't have a meeting in July, a council meeting. So I was figuring that we should we'll have a council work session. I believe it's the 12th. And we can just basically bring up all these things and discuss them then. And then if we have to, then we can approve something at the August meeting.
You may want to also schedule it as a special council meeting and advertise it as such. If you decide not to proceed with it, you'd be fine. But if you just discuss something at the work session that you wanted to pass and not wait till the middle of August to get it done, you're already going to be here. You might as well. And if we don't need it, it's like executive session. You don't need it, you just don't go. So,
I like that. Idea. There's a few things that we can discuss.
Okay.
Why is there no meeting? Is that normal?
tradition.
Okay. First full year, so
Did you see Fiddler on the Roof? Come on.
all for it. Plan my vacations in July. Got it.
And you get vacation pay, you get a whole month's pay.
Great.
Anyway, again, there's nothing, like I said, we're gonna need, it's gonna cost money to do it. I mean, and I know there are some residents that are really adamant about getting this done. They want it done, but again, it's gonna take time and money. I mean, and again, unless someone wants to donate $5,000, I can have a fence up there maybe tomorrow. I mean.
We
but
don't need 3
again,
readings to accept the
and
donation.
we don't
do we?
need 3 weeks for a donation. I mean, money talks. I mean, the thing is, we have a lot of great ideas, but again, it's gonna take money. We're running a tight budget as it is, and again, you know, we can't also spend money where it's not gonna really be effective. And some of these ideas, they're great, but they're only partially effective. And, you know, if it's only gonna be partially effective, it's not gonna solve the problem. We're just throwing money away. So,
Yeah, I don't think a kid's gonna look at it and go, oh, that's a 6-foot fence. I can't hop that.
Right.
It's 2 more
Right.
feet.
You'll see it
It's
as a
not gonna
challenge.
make a difference. If you've ever hopped a fence before.
What time are we starting on the 12th?
I thought we said 6:30. I saw that in the email.
Okay.
I was.
I just was going to write it on my notes. That's all.
July 12th.
okay, that's all I have for the mayor's reports. Solicitor report.
I didn't have anything more than what I've already contributed with the legislation.
You. Council members, Mrs. Hardwick.
I don't have a whole lot to add, because we've covered it earlier. I just wanted to, say that, we had the carpet cleaned. It was in real need of cleaning. And, I think it came out really well. And as, the person who takes care of the village hall, I'm going to keep a tighter watch on the carpet. Because I did have people that weren't quite happy to see the stains that were there. Definitely, somebody had dragged a bag of garbage, and you could see it going right across to the door. So why they took it out of the can in the first place, I don't know. But the carpet, I guess, makes a big impression on people. So it looks great. And I'm going to thank our service guys for doing that for us. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Conrad?
Yeah, nothing on the sewer front that I'm aware of, at least. No one's voiced any concerns, so that's a good sign. No news is good news in that front. One thing that I was thinking about, and maybe we'll talk about this at the work session, but just kind of plant the seed now for people, is was at the park with my daughter playground, and realized there's no restroom there. I don't know the answer to it, whether it's a portable restroom in the summertime or, you know, like build a type of shack like the Chagrin River Reservation has, like kind of like a outhouse, or just do nothing at all and expect people to walk back to their house to use their restroom is the other option too. So just something I was thinking about. So maybe we'll discuss that at the work session and see what council and give community time to think about it and give their opinion if it's something that would be valued. Obviously, I'm just one resident, so just because I found it painful to find a restroom and have to drive back home to do it doesn't mean everyone else does. So, but yeah, that's all I really got. It's been quiet and keep it that way.
Okay, thank you.
I've had a couple complaint forms, nothing that bad. People, I've asked people to comply about things, and I have. Appreciate that. I've seen campers go in and out instead of these saying they're stationary, so thank you, because you do have a time to come back, reload your camper and get back out. I do want to make a comment about the gate. I think Dr. Sharma, you and I have been on the council the longest since this administrative mayor. It has cut down on people jumping. Compared to what it was, it has been effective. As effective as we'd like it to be, no, we're not there yet, but it has made a difference. I know, because my phone is ringing less. And that's great. So we're getting there. We're not there totally, but we're getting there. So I have to say that it has lessened it at least by 50% in the phone calls about people jumping the gate. I want to thank the Village Club. We had a very nice bonfire this past Friday on the beach. It was enjoyed by all. Some of you were there. It was a great night. Nice to meet you with people. I'm going to tell everybody, please don't miss August 7th. It's our family's days. Let's be together. Let's have a nice time. As we know, there's fireworks that Mr. Mona really wanted. Let's be there for him and his family. And I'm looking very forward to it. And let's pray for good weather. That's it.
Thank you. Dr. Sharma?
So Mayor and Council and residents, I did receive a letter from the President of Ohio Gas Association, and they required some sort of public awareness program, and there was a survey that I duly filled and submitted it. And this was based on the gas companies, how they are responsible for measuring the effectiveness, and Chief had helped me answer some questions there as well. And on behalf of that natural gas companies, periodically they retain this independent research supplier. That's all I have to report.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor. Yeah. Captain Thompson?
Trees, again, some residents who inquired about tree limb issues on the right of way, that there was an ordinance passed in January that places that responsibility now on to property owners. Rather than the village. Other than that, nothing major. I'll have some comments when it's public comment time.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Roskus, financial report, please.
Through May 31st, our general fund is at $303,847. And that includes any encumbered expenses as well. Our month-to-date revenue for May was $63,939 versus expenditures of $36,744. And that's a net difference of $27,195. We paid out our first installment for 2022 for our street improvement bond, and that payment was $21,559. And this was paid out of Fund 3902, which is the Paving Improvement Debt Service Fund. This was money that was transferred from the general fund. We also paid out $400 from our 9901 Hall Rental Security Deposit Refund Fund. General fund revenue through May 31st is up $98,771 versus last year. This is primarily due to a large increase in income tax collection, and property tax rate collections have also improved. And our revenues in May exceeded projections by approximately $50,000. So based on that, currently we're looking at a potential surplus, and also based on current expenditure rates of approximately $89,700. If council decides to transfer funds to the Village Hall and Police Cruiser Capital Fund of $20,000 each, we'd be looking at a surplus of about $49,700 for the year.
Okay, thank you. Okay, police chief report.
There were 4 911 calls, 4 animal complaints, 3 assist calls, 1 ATV complaint, community policing, which includes the beach and the playground checks, 91, 1 disturbance, 1 domestic violence call, 1 hazard complaint, 141 house checks, 9 investigations, 1 juvenile complaint, 1 neighbor dispute, 1 open container complaint,
2 patrol complaints, 1 phone complaint, 1 parking violation, 1 scam report, 1 theft report, 1 tree report, 4 trespassing complaints, 1 welfare check, for a total of 273 calls from Central Dispatch.
Okay, Chief. Next is zoning and property maintenance with Gary Gray. He's not in attendance, but he sent me his list and he wrote out 1 driveway permit, 1 fence permit, 2 roof permits, and 1 patio permit for the month. Okay, moving on to purchases and approvals. Do I have a motion to approve the May 2022 financial reports, please? And Tamara makes a motion. Do I have
I
a second?
second it.
Dr. Sharma seconds. Roll call, please.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs.
I was absent, but since I have them,
Yeah.
so
This is-
I,
Mrs. Mara.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
It's me.
Mr. Conrad?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to public comment and questions. So again, we open up to the public. So if you want, please come on up, state your name and address again. and got the floor.
This is regarding the playground. I don't believe we need a porta potty. We all live in the village. But if you really would like to spend money on the playground, we can fix the bottom of the one slide and maybe purchase another thing across from the rock wall that used to be some form of a slide, but now we just have a piece of plywood up there. So I think that would be a better way of spending our money for our kids. Thank you.
Any other-
Or pee in the lake.
Any other comments? Questions? Oh,
I have a couple.
Oh, yeah,
Got
please.
more from the- Just a couple things. I'll try to get this quick. Maybe we can discuss at our upcoming work session. One is the 3-minute per topic rule. I'd still like to address that at some point. I think this council have given people a lot of liberties. Recently, everything's gone smoothly, but sometimes when things are a little more contentious, that was an issue. I think we can rework it to make more sense. We can discuss that at another time, though. Another thing is, as of right now, it's my understanding that council still has to approve police hires, new police hires. Is that correct? And that doesn't make sense for a lot of reasons. For one, timing, we're not always all available to get together and get a hiring. Someone could apply and be a great candidate. And if they're not going to get the job and start for 3 or 4 weeks, they might be gone. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but I don't think this council is really qualified to be hiring police officers anyway. That would fall to the executive branch. That would be the police chief and the mayor. So maybe that's something we could discuss at a work session and perhaps bring some legislation forward. And then the next thing, everybody likes to talk about the gate. So it's my understanding that we're doing everything that we are required to do. And I don't believe that the village needs to spend any more community money into that project. That's my opinion. So that'll be all.
Thank you.
And they have,
Good.
I watch them across the street. I don't know.
All right.
Plus your offices are often right around Sunset stuff. And those people.
The fear that is putting some people happened last night. They're sitting on the beach, we were the last homeowner in here. And my husband said to me, Mayor, excuse me, there's some young men out there and they were on 2 rafts. And he said they came from the public beach. And I said, oh, no big deal. But they were in front of our site where we live. And they looked like they were struggling. And so the mayor waved them in. And it took a while for them to get in. People are out there farther than they think. Okay, when they came ashore, they were exhausted. And he asked them, were you afraid to come on the beach? And they said, yes, we were. They were trying to get back to the public beach. And the waves, I don't know if you were on the beach anymore last night, they were going against the current. So they were definitely obeying the rules. But when they came to the shore, they were huffing and puffing. And I was scared, like, I'm a mom. I'm a mom. Like, I go, do you want to come by the fire? I'm going to drive you home. And they're like, no, no. So the mayor escorted them back into the water when they got their breath. And he walked them through the water, past the homes to make sure that they were, and back to the public beach. But they were literally too scared to come up on the beach. So people are aware of these rules. But in my opinion, last night, it was, good thing we were down there because they were exhausted. And the gentleman, the one young man came out of his boat. He was trying to swim with his boat. I'm like, there's no, just watch somebody just stay in perpetual motion, go nowhere. And he said, I thought it would be better ready to dog paddle. He was trying to pull his boat behind him.
We actually jumped out and actually dog paddling, dragging the boat, swimming with the boat.
That's not the first time we've seen that.
They weren't going against, they were trying to go against the current. They were not going to them just come straight into the shore.
Like come to our beach and then
Again,
rest.
he was afraid to come ashore because he was afraid to walk along the shore because he didn't want to trespass.
So people are following the rules.
But
So I almost called EMS.
I also want to thank Mr. O'Leary, specifically for this meeting. You went through and for some of the ordinances and resolutions, you explained why we were suspending the rules. We've had questions from the community, or including myself, sometimes, why are we doing, but it all makes sense. And it's nice to sometimes have a refresher on why exactly we're doing that. So it's not like we're just trying to make everything an emergency and just, push everything through. So thank you for doing that.
Welcome.
well, another thing, we only meet once a month and then we're not going to meet next month. So I mean, everything honestly is an emergency because when you only meet once a month, how do you get anything done?
You don't,
You know,
want
I mean,
meetings?
so, 3 months to get something done is ridiculous. I mean, a month is bad enough, so, but yeah. But, all right, any other questions from the comments from the? Yes.
I'd like to just make a comment about the 75th anniversary. I don't know if people are aware, but Timberlake is actually older than East Bay as a, as a
Entity.
entity, right? Okay, good. I think the only one older is Lakeline. And I don't think it's by much, but it seems to me that in Ron's record keeping, that Lakeline is the only one older. So I think the 75th anniversary is well worth celebrating.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you, yes.
Special year. Honored to be here.
Okay, on that note, do I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Thompson makes a motion,
Second.
Mr. Conlon seconds. Roll call?
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
I
Mr. Conrad.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned and our next